and welcome back to another episode of The Jake Williams Show. I am your host, Jake Williams, and I'm very excited to do today's episode, mostly because it's all about this past weekend and my experience in Kansas City during Planet Comicon, and it was honestly a blast. It was probably one of the most fun weekends I've had, and it's going to be interesting because as I'm recording this, once I'm finished here, I'm going to be going to Kansas City again for Luke's bachelor party, and if everything goes as planned, we're going to be talking about that on the next episode of this show. But in the meantime, we'll be talking about my Planet Comicon experience. We might talk about that during the Luke's bachelor party episode. We'll see where that goes. But welcome back to the show. Glad to have you. The Jake Williams Show rolls on, episode 32. And as always, before I continue on with the show, I always have to do this. Please check out the other shows on loudandopinionated.com. You're already here, right? You're listening to this show on loudandopinionated.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Check out Loud Sports. That's a show I do with Paul Rubidoux and Brandon Plecker. We talk about anything and everything in the world of sports, but we also have a Iowa, Midwest, Nebraska, flavor to it that I don't think you hear in a lot of podcasts. And then, of course, you can check out The Underachievers. It's a gaming podcast I do with John Sparks and Chance Oliver. We talk about everything in games. We also have a side show there called Party Chat, where it's just us hanging out, playing video games. And believe it or not, rarely do we ever talk about the actual game we're playing. We usually are talking about movies and comic books and really anything that comes to mind. Those are just great shows, and I hope you check them out. I'm glad they're part of the Loud and Opinionated family. I'm living the dream doing these 3 shows every week. It's truly amazing. So anyway, on to the show. Let's talk about my experience in Kansas City for Planet Comicon, their 20th anniversary. I know because I was the dummy that bought a commemorative cup, but screw it. It's a good cup. I enjoy it. It was $12 for a soda. The first thing I did when I was at the convention. Let's rewind. All the way back to January 2019. I believe January 4th was a Kind of Funny day. And that's when Kind of Funny announced they were doing the Kind of Funny World Tour this year. Essentially, it was just them going to cities that they normally don't go to, which is really cool, and I'm glad that they decided to do something like this because I've been following Kind of Funny since they went independent. So 4 years I've been listening to their podcasts and watching the shows. They're very integral to everything that I do. I think Loud and Opinionated, this show, any podcast I have done or am doing is because of Kind of Funny. They were huge inspirations to me. And I love that this story is about guys that went and did it on their own and did it their own way. Now, granted, they had a good leaping off point with IGN, but still, they managed to stay humble and stay like a bunch of nice guys. And I'll get more into them when I get to the meet and greet part of this show, but there's a lot I want to get to. So first off, they announced that they were going to Kansas City in the end of March, to which I said immediately while watching that live stream, I was like, I'm making plans for this now. I didn't know a date yet. I didn't know anything that was going on. I just knew I was going to go to Kansas City to see these guys because, one, I love going to Kansas City. It's a beautiful city. I love it. It's so much fun. 2, I have friends that live in Kansas City, so if I asked them, I had a place to stay, didn't have to spend money on an Airbnb or a hotel, so that's already knocked out of the park. And the friends that I'm going to stay with, we've been wanting an excuse to visit them and hang out with them because we miss them. So by doing that, I was like, look, I knocked all these things out. I get to see guys that were very formative and inspirational to me, and I get to visit one of my favorite cities and hang out with some friends. It's a all-around win. Then months later, and by months later I mean probably February, because it's January to March, the timeline. Then in February, I didn't even know about this. It was Adam, who's been on other podcasts, good friend of mine. He'll be on this show eventually. He told me, hey, man, don't you listen to Kind of Funny? Like the Kind of Funny podcast? And I was like, yeah, I listen to a couple of their podcasts. Well, they're going to be at Planet Comicon. Now, if you don't know Adam, Adam's a guy that loves to go to these conventions, and he'll probably explain it a lot better in the next episode than I can. But his whole shtick is... The reason he goes to conventions are to get signatures from his favorite Power Rangers. All of us in the 90s, look, if you're a millennial, if you're listening to this podcast and you grew up in the 90s, you watched Power Rangers and you loved it. Don't pretend you didn't. Don't try to be above it. Everybody loves or loved Power Rangers. So why don't before you send the tweets, leave Adam alone. But so he already was going to go. He already planned it out. And I said, sure, I'm doing this. I'm going to go. I want to see these guys. This is a rare opportunity. They're doing their world tour. They're going places they don't normally go. This is a big deal for me. Which is funny, I mentioned at the top of the show that after I record this, I'm going to go to Kansas City again for Luke's bachelor party. This was initially the plan. We were initially going to do the bachelor party for Planet Comicon, but it works out better this way. So I make the plans. We're going there. Adam has already gone. I go a little bit later. I hang out with my friends, and then we go to the convention. And what's really funny is they all kind of, the first day, dressed up as a group. And what they did was like a millennial Power Rangers thing. Adam actually has an account. I'll plug it right here. It has an Instagram called Millennial Tommy. It's really dumb and silly, but I love it. And it's just if Tommy were a millennial, pretty much. You can check that out. So he went with that idea, and they all kind of did like a millennial Power Rangers thing, and they got a photo op, and it was cool. I thought that was really cool. It was even funnier because the original Red Ranger made a video, and Luke's favorite Power Ranger could be argued that Jason was his favorite Power Ranger. He did a shout out because Luke, as we mentioned, bachelor party, he's getting married. He did a special shout out, and Luke just looks so funny because he's so happy, but he doesn't know how to react to the situation. And I would make fun of that because A, it was funny, but B, I was like, I know that's exactly how I'm going to be when I meet the Kind of Funny guys. Sure enough, it was. We'll get there. We're spinning the yarn here. So they do all that, and they already had that plan to go as that. And there were Adam and his girlfriend Grace, who might be on the show at some point. Him and her were going to be there for 3 days. So they had 3 separate costumes each day. So I didn't really have a costume. And my idea was, and this, keep in mind, I made this decision later to go. Because, it was a financial decision. It was also like, look, I don't care. When do I ever get to see these guys? When do I get to do it? I got to make the decision, So I was coming to it late in the game, and they already kind of had their ideas for costumes. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I'll dress up. I never dress up to these things. This is probably my only second convention. I never really done these things. So I decide, well, I can just do something really easy. I'll just put my hat on backwards, get it like a trench coat for cheap, and be Kevin Smith or Silent Bob, which I did see a Silent Bob there. It was awesome. I should have got a picture with him, but I didn't. So that was where I was at. I'm like, I'll just be Kevin Smith, whatever, that'll be fine. And then it struck me at some point when I was like, wait a minute. I'm going to see Kind of Funny. That's the whole reason I'm going there. I have a beard. I got a red polo. I got some khaki shorts. I can buy some wristbands. I'm going to be Johnny Ace. I'm going as the Ace Man himself. And you know what? It was the best decision I made. It was one of the easiest costumes. I think altogether the wristbands were like $8. And it was worth it. Because it was such a silly costume. It's such an easy costume to make. What's even better is when I sent the picture to the group chat, and then the day before, Adam is just like, not a lot of people, maybe only Nick is going to understand what this is. And I said, I don't care. That's the point. I'm going to meet him, why not wear this, have a great time, meet him, and say, oh, look at this funny picture I took with him. And sure enough, that was kind of the case when I got there. What makes me also laugh is Luke only had a costume for the one day and then patched together one for the second day where he had a hat and glasses on and a shirt, and he looked like Captain America in disguise. So his thing was just like when the Avengers hide, which is a pretty fun costume, probably just as cheap as my costume. Maybe a little bit more expensive, but he made do with what he had, and I appreciate it. It was ingenuity. And we get there. First of all, it worked. I walked right past Luke like 2 or 3 times. It was amazing. So we get there, we do our thing, and then because of traffic by the time I got there, we were ready to go to the Power Ranger panel that was hosted by Tim, which is awesome because it's Power Ranger stuff, and it's an excuse for me to go because Tim's hosting it. So we go there. That was a really good panel. Enjoyed myself. Then we get out and kind of roam around the floor. Went to the McFoley panel. Then I met some friends. But before that, after the McFoley panel, we get out. Luke's going to go to the bathroom. I'm walking with him. And then by total circumstance, the Kind of Funny guys are in the hallway. Except for Greg, because he was just doing the panel. But the Kind of Funny guys are in the hallway, like just filming for their vlog. And I was like, oh, crap. This is happening right now. This is the thing. And how I was explaining Luke, where he was just smiling real big and just kind of looking at the camera and not really moving, that's exactly how I was when I saw the Kind of Funny guys. I knew that would happen. And what's even better is Nick saw me. Nick spotted my Johnny Ace costume, and there happened to be another guy dressed like Johnny Ace. He was like, oh, what is this, too? And then to pull out my phone and say, hey, let's take a picture together. Nick was on top of it. He's like, we're taking a selfie. So we take a selfie. I'm on his Instagram. That was the moment where I was like, okay, I've achieved everything. Because going in jokingly, I said, we're going to go to this meet and greet. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to see these guys. You might see my face on a YouTube video. That was my joke. It's like, I could be in the background of a YouTube video. That was the joke. And Adam was like, man, I don't know, man. Maybe you're setting yourself up too high. Maybe lower your expectations. And then, of course, that happens. Of all things to happen, I run into these guys by chance who take a picture. And I was really excited. I wanted to stay and talk to them, but I also really had to pee. So I get the picture done, and we're like, oh, that was great. And then I run to the bathroom for 2 reasons. A, I did have to pee, and B, I really wanted to tell Luke about this. So I run to the bathroom, and I'm like, dude, you'll never believe it. I ran into Nick. He saw my costume, thought it was great, took a selfie. Luke's like, what? No freaking way, man. Like, we were so excited, and it was great. And that was just a little blip of what the weekend was going to be. And I was surprised at how many Kind of Funny best friends I ran into at this thing. Other other Ace men, the Ace, Johnny Ace, other guys like that. So that was awesome. I want to go back. I forgot to mention this. During the Power Ranger panel, when I came in, this was also the time Adam was getting pictures because he was dressed as Zero from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Grace had put a ton of effort into her Boogie Woogie costume, and they were Zero and Boogie Woogie. I get into the Power Rangers panel, and that is when it finally happened. That's when people were starting to notice me. One guy was like Johnny Ace, and I just remember going, hey, somebody knows who I am. That's awesome. And then the guy responded with, yeah, man, what are we here for? And then somebody actually took a picture with me at the end of the panel. And that was when I was like, yes, I am surrounded by these people. Get me. These are my people. These are Kind of Funny best friends. Because as much as I love Kind of Funny, I'm the only one of my friends that actually consistently watches their content. I may have gotten Luke to watch something or Adam to watch something here and there, but it's just been me. So when I am around other people that share the enthusiasm and are big fans like I am, it was a weird, surreal experience. Even just with that picture, I had a great time. I was like, that's funny. So, yes, I run into the guys, and to which I'm thinking, oh, that's awesome. I cannot wait to go to the meet and greet. This is going to be a great night. So after all that, we decide, okay, we need to get some food. So we go into the food truck area, and that's where I get in line, and this was really funny. The other Ace, the Johnny Ace that I was with, that took the selfie with Nick, he was in the line next to me, and the guy in front of me took a picture of him. I thought it was great, and it was really funny because I just stood behind him and I was like, all right, that's fine, whatever. And then he turns around, notices my costume and takes a picture of me, and then we just strike up a conversation. And that's when it was a little bit before, but this really hit me in this line, because I talked to this guy the whole time, and that's when it really struck me. I never thought that they lied when they talked about the community. But when I hear those guys talk about meet and greets, and they talk about how you'll make friends and talking with these people, it's like knowing someone your whole life kind of thing. And this community is just so loving and welcoming. I'm not saying I didn't believe that people were like that, but it just, sometimes we have this, as human beings, we have this thought in our head when people say those things, we think it's just a sales pitch. It is not a sales pitch. It is absolutely 100% the truth. I think this guy's name was Josh. Josh, if you're listening, I hope I got your name right. Him and I just struck up a conversation, and we talked about Kind of Funny, and we talked about everything. And that in that little brief period of time in line for some barbecue, and I convinced him to go to the meet and greet. I didn't know if I saw him there, but he did go to the panel, because his whole reason, he's like, I don't even go to conventions. I don't really ingratiate myself with this. I just really wanted to see the Kind of Funny guys. And I was like, I get it, man. I totally get it. What are we here for? I used that other guy's line. And I convinced him to eventually go to the meet and greet. I didn't see him there, but I did see him after the panel, which was great. And that was in the moment where it really started clicking in my head that I was already having a really good time. I was already enjoying myself, but that moment really clicked for me when I was like, this is such a great community to be a part of. And there are a lot of great people in this community, and I am so lucky that I got to experience that for a weekend and be around that for a weekend. It was crazy. It was awesome. And I can't say enough about how I really am drinking the Kool-Aid, and I really believe in this community. And I sometimes I'm a little bit cynical by nature, but getting to see it in person really restored my faith in humanity, if these are the kind of people that are in the community. And it was awesome, man. I really can't go much further into that other than I had a great time. So we go to then we go to the Kind of Funny panel. I'm not going to talk a lot about the Kind of Funny panel, because I don't know if it's going to be a YouTube video or not, if they're going to put it up later. It was off the rails from the jump. And I know that's not saying a lot because of the garbage truck on fire, but man, oh man, I was not I've never been to a Kind of Funny panel. Obviously, I'd never seen them. I'd occasionally watched some of them when they were on YouTube, but man, I did not anticipate what was going to happen with that panel. And I was listening back. I think they talk about it a little bit on this week's Kind of Funny podcast for April 5th. I think they talk about it. I'm not going to go into it. I'm just going to speak in generalities. There was a giant can of pizza sauce that a dude chugged, which I got his autograph, which is amazing. There was a child on stage that got Tombstone Pile Drive at the end. There was just a lot of stuff going on. And the best thing about that was I took Luke, again, who is a casual Kind of Funny viewer. Adam and Grayson never seen anything these guys have done. Adam, not so much. The best thing about the panel, and they talk about it in the podcast, but it was great because the panel, they do talk about how Nick didn't get to do the Henry Winkler interview because Henry Winkler crushed his soul. The wink crushed his soul. So after all that with the panel, then we go back to the Airbnb that Adam and Luke are staying at, and I'll admit I slammed a few beers, slammed like 3 tall boys of Miller High Life, because at that point, it's whenever I get to visit my friends, especially when they live 2 hours away, when I can hang with them, Party Jake comes out. Now, who's Party Jake? It's obvious. It's me when I'm drinking. That guy came out, so I was like, I'm drugging these tall boys. I'm going to this meet and greet. I'm going to meet my heroes, air quotes. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. Let's get it. So, slam those beers. We go to the meet and greet. I'm a little saucy. I tell the Uber driver, talking about my headband, because the headband I wore for Johnny Ace is actually Ashley's headband. And I had thought I had lost it in my Uber before that took us to the Airbnb, and I was really worried. I was like, what if I had left it in there, and that guy had a girlfriend, and maybe he thought blah, blah, blah. Maybe he thought that he was doing Uber to pick up chicks. I don't know. And everybody was like, why would you think that? That's not going to happen. And then the driver, Hector, said, what about your headband? I don't think he heard all of it. I go, it's a girl's headband. And he goes, looks at me straight up and says, who cares? And then I responded, oh, I know, Hector. I know I look good. You don't need to tell me I look good. And that was just kind of the epitome of where I was at drunk-wise, where I'm getting sassy. I'm having fun. We get into the bar, and this is where I made the mistake. I should have known, seeing videos of how their meet and greets are and knowing how many people would be there. I should have known, and we should have planned better and got there sooner. That's fine. I didn't get to meet Andy, unfortunately, but I got his autograph. But that was the only thing I think I should have done better, was get there earlier so I could meet everyone. But I got to see Tim and Nick and Greg. Got to see the OGs. But we get in, go to the bar, get a drink, and again, that's where I'm reassured with what people were saying about this community, you know? I didn't know anybody at this bar, but I talked to a lot of people. We interacted, had conversations, and it was so easy, so flawless with how we interacted with each other, because we're all there for the same thing. We're all excited to see these guys. We don't usually get to see them. And we're in the Midwest, and Midwest people are really nice. I actually had a moment leaving the panel where I ran into somebody dressed as Johnny Ace, and I turned around and I apologized. And the guy that I ran into just looks at me and goes, fucking Johnny Ace. And in that moment, I told him, I was like, I was going to turn around and stay on brand and be a jerk to you. And then as I was saying, the other guy was just like, your Midwest nice came out. And I was like, yep, I had to say, I'm sorry. I had to do it. I'm not a Midwesterner if I don't do that. And we all laughed. And that's really what it was like. We were all, we're all really nice people, really excited. The line moved really well. I'm so glad I got to meet all of them. But meeting Tim was so surprising to me. And I'll lay it out this way. If I'm being honest, I think Nick is probably my favorite. I love all the guys, but I think Nick I love the most. Clearly, I dressed as Johnny Ace. But Tim, I love this dude because it is all hype all the time. And he was just so happy to see me. And all these guys were so, like, the kind of funny guys were just as happy to see me as I was to see them. And that was really awesome. To see these guys that have had all this success and all this, and have all these people here and still be humble and still be excited to give me a hug and take a picture with me, that's insane. That is just absolutely insane. And yeah, Tim just looks at me and says, I hate you, and like shook me because I was dressed as Johnny Ace. And I told him that I brought Adam and Grace to the meet and greet. I brought them to the Power Ranger panel. Also, great thing what I love about Tim is when I asked him, or when I said, oh yeah, we went to the Power Ranger panel. They went for Power Rangers, I went for you, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, how did I do? I was really nervous about that. Like, I matter. Like, I'm the judge of whether or not it was a good panel. Like, I'm the critic of that. That was awesome. I was so shocked by that response, and he did do a great job, by the way. It was a fun panel. And he took the picture with me, and he was so great, and he was extremely grateful that I had taken Adam and Grace to the panel and taken them to this meet and greet and kind of shown them, because I want to share Kind of Funny with everybody I know. I love Kind of Funny. They're great. So we move down the line, and then I meet Nick. And it was really funny because while I'm in line for him, I just got finished talking to Tim. As I'm in line, I'm standing there, and I still have my Johnny Ace costume on, which I wrote Jakey Ace. We're distant cousins. I take up the sunglasses because it's a dimly lit bar. There's a lot of people, so it's dark. My sunglasses start to steam up because I'm sweating a little bit. I'm a chubby guy. You guys know this. And I'm just standing there, like I lift up my glasses just so I can see where I'm going. Nick looks at me, locks eyes with me. No words. Just looks right at me and mimes putting the sunglasses down, putting the sunglasses on. So then at that point, I'm like, well, fuck, I don't have a choice. I gotta do it. Johnny Ace's good friend, Nick, he wants me to, stay on brand. It was even better as we're coming into the line. There's a guy in front of me, so I was like, oh yeah, I'll take your picture, help you out. So I do that. As I'm doing this, I'm like, I gotta take the glasses off, and he's like, you can't take the glasses off, and I was just like, I can't see. And then his response back was, oh, I know you can't see. Imagine trying to do a show with set lights and you can't see. And then I was just like, he's got a point. I gotta keep the glasses on. I'm just a bozo trying to get a picture. And then this is the moment where I may have come off too strong with Nick. And if I did, I apologize. But I get to Nick and I take the picture. I tell him the same thing. And I didn't get to say this to Tim, but I said this to him and I said it to Greg. Like, you guys are humongous inspiration to me. I'm the whole reason I podcast and do podcasting. You guys are a huge inspiration, and I would, it wouldn't be here without you guys. The funny thing is, Luke took the pictures, and Luke took one portrait, which is fine, but I'm more of a landscape guy. And I say that into the ear of Nick. I say, this guy, look at this fucking guy not shooting in landscape. As I was doing that, Adam, Grace, and Luke were all thinking I was trying to kiss him on the cheek. And then his response, yeah, I did. And then Nick was like, yeah, I felt some heat. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to say something. And then we took another picture, and then I said, I'm a little bummed, because I know you're a short guy. I'm a small guy. I thought we were the same height. I think you're a little bit taller. And then this is this is where it gets a little awkward. I look at Nick straight in the face. I go, look at me. He looks at me, and I go, just stay there for a second. And then I touch my nose to his, straight up Eskimo kiss him. And then I follow it up with, like, we're the same height. Like, the whole night, I'd been so good. I had had a few drinks at this point, but the whole day, the whole night, I had been really good with not going over the top and getting too starstruck and goofy, and then I just blew it right there with Nick. But no, he was a great sport. He thought it was funny, and we took we left. Then we went to meet Greg. That took forever. That long was so long to see Greg, and I finally get to meet him. And as you can see, the picture in the thumbnail, I was very enthusiastic as Johnny Ace, and he hated it. What was really funny is he's like, oh, Nick's the worst. And I was like, no, he's a great guy. And then I take my sunglasses up so I can look at him and talk to him. And then he goes, oh, you're getting out of character. And then we had like a genuine moment of conversation. I said the same thing of, you're the reason I'm in podcasting. All this stuff wouldn't exist without you guys. Along the same lines of what I said to Nick, and he said, thank you. That's why we do it. That's why we're here. And, took the picture with me and everything. And then, as I was leaving, he straight up looked at me and says, love you guys. I was like, that's a nice touch. That's great. The moral of the story is, and I made this sappy tweet, it's the truth. They say don't meet your heroes. Well, I met my heroes, and it was one of the best days of my life. It was amazing. And I implore you, if you're still one of those cities on their list of the world tours, you have to go to a meet and greet. You have to see these guys in person. They're just truly genuine, nice guys, and I don't regret 1 second hanging out and going to that meet and greet and being a part of that. That was amazing. And yeah, there's no reason for you not to go to a meet and greet and see these guys. If you can't go to a panel, go to a panel, because my goodness, woo, that was something else. Yeah, so that was my my Kansas City trip and meeting Kind of Funny. I would do it again in a heartbeat, no question. Do it again. Thank you so much to Kind of Funny for coming to a place like Kansas City within driving distance of someone that's living in the Midwest. It was amazing to see you. Thanks to all the best friends at the meet and greet at the con. You guys were so welcoming and warming, and I hope I came off the same way for you guys. And it is recent. I've never been a convention guy. I've only been, like I said, to 2 cons, and it has restored my faith in cons, and I definitely will probably go to Planet Comicon next year. It was awesome. I can't wait. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of The Jake Williams Show. right here on loudopinionated.com or wherever you get your podcasts. The next few weeks are going to be wild. We're going to do Luke's bachelor party next week, and I got some things cooking because I really going to dedicate a lot of programming to Marvel. I think talking about my definitive MCU list ahead of Endgame, and then once Endgame comes out, we'll go from there and make a decision. As I said, check out the other shows on loudopinionated.com. They're great as well, and I don't know if I have really anything else to say. Oh, an update. Jake's Rad Movie Show was supposed to come out in February. I had an episode planned, ready to go. My laptop, she's on her last legs. I need to get a new one. She crashed. So that is lost. And I'm also kind of grateful for it because that gives me some time to work out some ideas. And I have a different target date, but as I said, I'm not going to say it because as per tradition with this show, if I say anything or announce anything in advance, something will screw up and not hit that date. So I'm not even going to try. But thank you once again for listening. If you're Kind of Funny best friend, I'm glad I got to meet you. If I didn't, listen to the show. Maybe I did and you just didn't know it. Maybe. I will see you again next week. And most importantly, above anything else, be loud and be proud.